This is TLV1.
TLV1 radio.
Great mixture.
I like Tel-Aviv.
This is still V1.
This is
Tel-Aviv is a beautiful city.
Great city, great radio.
TLV1.
This is TLV1.
From the TLV1 studios in Tel Aviv, Israel, it's Lewis Live! Next host, me, Ari Lewis. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is well. This is Lewis Live coming at you. Great show tonight. Brian Hoffman, the deep voice, coming in 40 minutes past the hour, telling us a bit about the NFL weekend. Nate Fish from Israel Baseball telling us about the academy and the success it's had. Mike Friedman talking about the Tel Aviv night run and so much more. But on the line right now, good friend of the program. We have not had him on the show in a while, but we're happy to have him back. From Westwood One Radio and USA Radio News, Cub Buenning. Cub, welcome back to the show.
Thanks so much for having me today, Ari.
Of course. Now, the Giants did something very special last week. In addition to winning the World Series, they win Game 7 on the road. That has not been done in the Fall Classic since the late 70s. Were you that shocked? You knew that Madison was going to come in the late innings, but were you surprised how well he pitched? A dominant performance, shutout innings, and got a World Series MVP.
I'm beginning to feel like this is what we should be expecting from him. Again, 3 World Series titles. He's been so clutch in October. He was the best player by far in baseball this fall. The dramatics were even more so than I think even the most ardent baseball fan could have hoped for him to be able to do what he did in Game 7. Tim Hudson struggled early in that game, and Super Madison to the rescue. And for him, he kind of got off to a bit of a choppy start early in that Game 7 performance, but he just turned it on and started mowing down Royals. And it just speaks to how key not only having an ace is, but when you contrast that against someone like the Dodgers and Clayton Kershaw, just how key it is for your ace to come up when it matters most.
Oh, yeah. You saw this time and time again in the 90s where the Braves were not able to win multiple World Series titles. You had Greg Maddux, great in the regular season, generally choked in the clutch. And you had pitchers that if they weren't the Yankees, they somehow would choke in the clutch. Trevor Hoffman as a reliever, for example. I want to go to Madison's contract. It's a very intriguing contract. I have in front of me here, 2018 is guaranteed if Bumgarner pitches 200 innings the previous year, and then 2009 is a club option, so it's possible he can be with the Giants for a long time. His average salary is in the ballpark, no pun intended, of about $9 million or so. How crazy of a bargain is this that the Giants are getting for probably having the best pitcher in the game, certainly the best postseason pitcher in the game today?
Yeah, again, I mean, how are you spending your money? What are you spending your money for? Are you spending it for June and July, or are you spending it for October? So the deal obviously is so team friendly, and then when you pull back a little bit and you look at the staff in general, Matt Cain wasn't really a part of this run, and he was obviously a huge portion of this rotation. Again, just being able to have someone like Bumgarner, who is much more than just every fifth day rotation pitcher, who's someone who can come in so clutch when it matters most. And and again, in this situation where you're dealing with the money ball model versus the big money market model, San Francisco is surely a big market team with plenty of resources, but for them to be able to, skip away from having to pay the piper too much for a guy who, like you said, is probably just the most clutch player right now in the game.
Now, people do this in sports all the time. Whenever there's a current guy who does something well, they say, oh, this is the greatest ever, one of the greats. But in all seriousness, Madison's won 3 World Series titles by the age of 25, NLCS MVP, World Series MVP to boot this season. And if you go back and compare to some of the greats, guys like Sandy Koufax, Bob Gibson, and even Mariano Rivera, the last generation, what are we looking at? I mean, he has obviously a lot more time in his career, but right now, where would you rank him all time among the postseason greats?
I mean, he's got to be up in some sort of conversation of top 10. Like you said, it's a little early, but having 3 rings already and to have been so dominant in so many of those instances, he could kind of retire today with a legacy that most greats would drool for. So in that respect, I would put him somewhere probably in the top 10. It's tough to line him up career-wise because his career has been so short. But, again, there's a lot of guys out there that would give anything to have what he's done, in an entire career. And for a team like San Francisco, who's built to win. I mean, again, their model is built to win. They have great staff. They have timely hitting. And they have veteran hitters and veteran, field players that I think are going to put them in a position we just may see a lot more of the Giants in the next few years. And then where do you put Bumgarner? I mean, he may be vaulting himself into the stratosphere of the greats.
Again, we're speaking with Westwood One Radio and USA Radio News Cub Buenning. Let's talk about the Giants potentially in the next couple of years, because before the season started, Las Vegas odds had them 20-1 to win the World Series, even though they won 2 the previous 4 years. And they seem not to get any respect, as Rodney Dangerfield always said, can't get enough respect. This season, will they be at least, top 5 of World Series picks? They won 3 out of the last 5 years. I don't really know what else they could do at this point.
I think because of the 3 out of 5, I think Vegas can't turn its back anymore on it. It's easy to come into every season and look at what the Dodgers are doing down in L.A., and they're loading their team up, and they have this staff and this amazing lineup. So again, on paper, it's so easy to ignore the Giants because their lineup is somewhat ho-hum, relatively speaking. It's not any kind of murderer's row that's scaring anyone. But again, you look at that in relation to some of these other teams, especially one like the Dodgers in their own division, again, people are always going to look down at that because it's tough not to be, kind of impressed by the bright lights. But to win 3 out of 5 and to not come into the next year a favorite, especially with what they've done, what they have in place contractually, and just the last 5 years, and there's really no way Vegas can ignore it now.
Now, I'm also curious of where this Fall Classic ranks among the all-times, because it did go 7 games, but about 4 or 5 games were blowouts that weren't that competitive. I still maintain the 91 series between the Twins and the Braves was the greatest ever, but anytime you have a series that goes 7 games, it's in some type of conversation. So I want to know where you think it ranks among the all-time greats of World Series play.
When you look at a series as a whole, it went 7 games. There was drama. There was heroes. It had everything you want. It had an amazing Game 7. But again, if you look at the individual games, I don't think it does. You measure up to some of the other ones. I always think back to how things are won or how the how the series is tilted. And I always think back to the Joe Carter and the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah.
I believe that was the '94 series.
Well, '93.
Williams. 93, excuse me. Again, I mean, where it sits, I think in the last 10 years, it's definitely one of the best because there was the drama. There was, the small market story of Kansas City. It had been 30 years. And so they kind of provided a nice, backdrop, especially for a team with such a small market. They provided such a nice story that, in general, the whole story, we're going to look back and say that was an amazing World Series, even if we can kind of ignore some of those blowout games that that were kind of part of the middle section.
All right, now last question I have for you. Speaking of the Royals, again, first trip to the World Series in about 30 years, first trip to the postseason, and I still, they were 50-1 before the season started, so they're considered definitely a fluke for this year. For some reason, I just feel like they're not going to repeat back to the World Series next year because you're going to have the Red Sox probably be in contention and other teams will load up. They do have big game James, and they have a great bullpen and a lot of speed. But what do you think? Would you be shocked if they don't repeat as AL champs the following season?
I can't imagine. If the Royals make it back again, then, this is why they play the games.
Right.
The American League has so much loaded talent. The Tigers, the A's are always there. I just can't picture a scenario where the Royals, not that all the stars had to align for them to get to where they got this past year, but they definitely needed some breaks to go their way. I mean, they were very close to not even making it in that one-game playoff. So again, I think there was a lot of things that had to happen right for a team that's built the way the Royals are. They're not a flashy, big lineup team or even a great rotation. They're just solid across the board with some young talent. So are they going to make it back? I would be so surprised. 50-1 again. I wouldn't be surprised if they're kind of in a similar spot next year.
Yeah, I think, and that's no disrespect to what the Royals have done. They had a great season, but you do need a little luck to go to the World Series, especially when you're competing against all the teams. I think the AL is the better league this year and in many years to come. Cub, we got to run. This is great. It was great to have you on. Sorry it's been so long since your last appearance, but I'll have to make sure that doesn't happen again. Everyone check out Cub Buenning on Westwood One Radio and USA Radio News. Cub, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Art. Let's do it again.
All right, we'll do. Be well. Cub Buenning, boys and girls. Quick break. On the other side, is comedy a sport? We'll ask comedian Jeremy Feldhammer all about that. This is Lewis Live on TLV1. All right, back here on Lewis Live. You're hearing that great music there that's made by Tomer Gershman. He makes all my music. Shout out to him and shout out to two Adams in the studio tonight. So appreciate that. One interning, one producing. So thank you both for being here. And December 25th, it's known as Christmas to some people, but in Israel it's known as Festivus, I guess. I don't know. But on the line, promoting a comedy Festivus Festival special, Jeremy Feldhammer. Jeremy, welcome to Lewis Live.
Hey, thanks. Great to be here.
Yes. Now, tell us, Festivus, we know that from the Jerry Seinfeld show, Seinfeld. Is that a legitimate holiday? Do you do any Festivus practicing yourself at all? Any customs?
Well, personally, no, not until this year. This will be my first year.
Okay.
However, one of the traditions is the airing of grievances, which I tend to do daily. So.
Yes. You have a minhag for that every day.
Yeah.
Not just Festivus.
Definitely.
Okay. And, I asked this before the break, is comedy a sport? Because people have all these questions of what's a sport, what's not. Some say chess is a sport. Some say tying your shoes is a sport. I don't know. What about comedy, though? Is comedy a sport?
Comedy is definitely a sport. You get beaten up like boxing. But I like to think of it like tennis, where you serve a joke and hopefully you get returned a laugh. But if you have a really good set, you're knocking it out of the park, like baseball. And it's one of those things that really requires a group effort. Comedy is one, you can't do it by yourself, like playing piano. Just like sports, you need a team. It can't be done solitarily.
Now, you've done comedy for a long time, and I'm curious because I've done comedy. I've been heckled. People said really mean things to me, which I kind of like it. It's kind of fun. You get to heckle back. I want to know what's the meanest thing you've ever heard from a heckler being heckled?
The meanest thing I probably can't say on air.
Adam, we allow swearing. Okay, can you do code words or something just so the audience gets the hint?
Well, I think the one thing that I could say on air that was pretty mean, but not the meanest, was someone shouted out in the middle of a show to a comedian that their mother should have aborted them.
Ooh, that's not good. Wow, that's definitely up there. Anyway, Jeremy Feldhammer on the line with us. Jeremy, now this event, December 25th, a very excited Festa comedy show, and tell us who are some of the comedians that are going to be in it.
Well, of course, I'm going to be there, so that's good. That in itself is a reason for everyone in all of Israel to want to attend.
Right, that's worth price of admission, just coming in right there, yes.
Yeah, I mean, when the Palestinians heard about that, they were thinking of, making peace just so they could come.
Yeah. But make sure, whoever's coming to the show, don't make any abortion jokes about you being aborted. That's not nice. That's not funny. That's one thing I'll say. I
don't want to welcome heckling because that's not ever a good idea. But
if they're going to pay the money,
well, you know what? Maybe we should sell tomatoes outside too.
If it
get a little
profit.
Extra cash. My inner Jew tries to figure out ways of making more and more money all the time.
Yes, which is always good. Or you could do a special like VIP heckler program where if people pay an extra 100 shekels, they get to heckle more. Or they get to heckle public, something like that.
There you go. That's a good idea. So, but besides myself, on the lineup right now we have Jessica Fass, who's a brilliant comedian from L.A. who made Aliyah, and she's now in Tel-Aviv. And then we also have you yourself.
Me? I'm in it. Oh,
you're going to be performing.
Oh, am I? Okay, I got to take that down. All right, great. All right, take some notes here. First, I didn't get that memo there. All right, we'll write that down again.
Hopefully you'll be okay.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully I don't get heckled, especially no abortion jokes. That wouldn't be good. And who's headlining?
Well, we might have a special guest, but besides for that, we also have another really special headliner, Leo Shem Tov. Leo Shem Tov is an amazing comic. He was a semifinalist on NBC's Last Comic Standing in America, and then he also just actually got back from America now, where he competed in the Laugh Factory's Funniest Person in the World contest, where he came in sixth. Which, hey, out of the entire world, that's pretty damn good. Yeah,
7 billion people to come in sixth is not bad. And, I did some research. I saw this guy's Facebook photo. This guy's nuts. He is under a big bra with another guy. It's like a tent. I've never seen a Facebook picture like that ever. This guy is nuts. I mean, you know him better than me, right? He's crazy?
Yeah, I know him real well. He's crazy, but in a good, lovable way.
Okay, well, that's good. That's the best type of crazy. Now, this event, again, December 25th, the Festivus Comedy Festival, are you working with any type of charities or anyone out there if they're interested in being a part of it? What should they do to contact you? Because, it's in the holiday season, so we definitely want to help out people.
Yeah, well, we're talking with a charity right now that might be getting on board. We are looking to be able to donate proceeds from the show towards a charity, and we actually are talking with one, and hopefully that turns out okay. But if anyone else out there has any ideas, then please feel free to come forward with them. And yeah, if you want to sponsor the show, if you have a business and you'd like to get a shout out during the show or an ad in our program, then of course, why not? I'm always looking to make some more money.
Yeah, me too. And Jeremy, say there, what's the best way they could go about doing that?
Well, you can contact us through the Facebook event. If you search for the Jerusalem Festivus Comedy Festival, we have a Facebook event. We also have a Hammer and Nail Entertainment Facebook page. There's also the hntickets.com. That's probably the easiest way. If you go to hntickets.com and you click contact us, and all the contact information is there. You can shoot us an email, give us a phone call.
All right. So December 25th, the Jerusalem Festivus Comedy Festival feature you, me, Leo's, and some more comedians. We have a special comedian, perhaps in the wings, and it should benefit charity. So that's good stuff. Jeremy, appreciate the time in helping plug both of us. Always like that. And thank you for your being on Lewis Live. First appearance, first time is always, as they say, like a first date. You enjoy it, and then you move on to the next date.
Yeah, well, I look forward to the next date.
Yes, yeah. I'll bring flowers next time, I think, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe I'll let you hold my hand.
Yeah, okay, that's good. All right, watch a movie or something. Anyway, all right, we're going to go on that. Jeremy, thank you so much. We appreciate it. All right. I'm Ari Lewis. I have no shame about doing shameless plugs. No problem. All right, we're going to take a break. On the other side, we're going to talk football, also known as soccer, with Ellie Roda right after this. This is Lewis Live on TLV1. All right, back here on Lewis Live. If you want to email me, the email is longlivelewislive@gmail.com, and you can follow this station, TLV1, on Twitter, @TLV1. And on the line right now, Petah Tikva, Maccbi Petah Tikva, PA announcer Ellie Roda. Ellie, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back. Hello to all the listeners.
Yes, and huge news in the world of soccer. FC Barcelona lost its first league home game since February and the second one since October 2010. That's 4 years.
Right.
Tell us a bit about that. That's pretty breaking news in the soccer world.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, for anyone that follows European soccer and specifically the Spanish league knows that FC Barcelona, usually doesn't lose points and usually goes along with the title to be a title contender all the way. This year they've started not in the best way. They lost this Saturday to Celta Vigo at home, 1-0, and it's quite a rare thing. Last time they lost at home, just like you mentioned, was back in February. There was actually a previous season to Valencia. There was, of course, their only defeat at home last season as well. And their last two previous took place 4 years ago, losing 2-0 to newcomer Hercules back then in 2010. And it's kind of a rare thing. Now, what happened is it's opened up the entire battle for the championship in Spain.
Because now there's more contenders. They see, hey, the king's kind of fallen, lost his crown, fallen off the throne. We're going to go after him now.
Well, yeah, exactly, something like that. We're basically 10 matches in, and we have a very, very close table there. When between the first and fifth place, there are only 2 points separating, and all the teams there obviously are going to contend for the title. Let's say in the previous few years, we've only seen Barcelona and Real Madrid as the two big contenders, except for last year when Atletico Madrid, the second team of Madrid, got in the battle and actually won the championship for the first time after 20 years approximately. But this year we're going to see a very, very close fight between all 5 teams, including, of course, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Valencia, and Sevilla.
All right, so with Barcelona perhaps falling off a little bit, who do you think is the favorite at this point? Is it still Barcelona, or is there another team out of the 5 that you like to win the cup title this year?
Well, me personally, I'm gonna stick with the previous year's winner, which is Atletico Madrid. Obviously, it's not the most talented team out there, and far from being the richest one, but it has a team of players that just really stick together, and their type of game is really makes it difficult for the highly talented teams like Barcelona, Real Madrid, with all their multi-million-dollar superstars. They're giving them hard time to play against them. They're playing really rough, and I think they eventually will win it again. But, it's going to be very close. It's going to be very interesting. And unlike in the previous years, we're going to see a very close battle this year. I just want to mention a few more facts. It's not only did Barcelona lost at home this week, but it also was her second consecutive defeat in this season. The previous one was to Real Madrid by 2 goals. The last time they've lost by 2 goals away was 6 years ago, also to the same Real Madrid, beating them 4-1. So Barcelona to lose in general is quite rare, of course, when we talk about losing on home soil. So that's a nice statistics right there.
Yes.
And just in general, we're going to see an amazing championship this year in Spain. I really recommend to follow.
All right, so good stuff. Roda breaking it down, telling us Barcelona could be in trouble, a couple of big losses, and then are historic losses. Again, as we talked about, they have lost a road game. It was 4.5 years ago. Home game, 4.5 years ago, also since February. So you're talking about 2 home losses in the last 4.5 years. So that really tells you how historic this was. Ellie, we got to run, but thank you so much for your time on Lewis Live. We look forward to more soccer coverage from you.
Thank you. Enjoy. Cheers.
All right. All right, folks, before we go to commercial break, actually music break, kind of don't know what to say. This is a bit awkward for me, but I'll just kind of say what needs to be said. We did a story last May about Adia Kami, that Adia Kami was wrongfully suspended for the entire year by Michael Friedman. He sued the league. He won in 2 weeks. Anyone who knows anything about Israeli court system knows that winning a lawsuit in 2 weeks is like winning a basketball game 1,000-0. Okay, Adam's here right now. If I pour coffee in Adam's face and he punches me, it would still take the court system 1.5 years to figure out what happened. So if a court system figures out a lawsuit in 2 weeks, it means the other guy is so god-awfully wrong, they ended the case right away, which is what happened with the IFL. But Michael Friedman, the commissioner now, used to coach the Rebels, Adia Kami's team, destroyed the Rebels in the title game and embarrassed them with his fake knee. And Brandon McDougal, who's a friend of mine, he swore on live TV. Shouldn't have done that. I told him that. But Salo was mad, and when he became commissioner, he punished them. It's not that hard to figure that out. Now, what happened was after I reported the story, I gave Batsal a chance to come on and explain himself because, as smart as I am and good-looking and all that stuff, I could be wrong. Maybe I got the story wrong. So Batsal wanted to come on and explain his point of view. Fine. But this might shock you. He didn't respond to my email. He also defriended me from Facebook, which really hurt my feelings. And he kicked me out of the IFL Facebook group, which is kind of weird because I'm the only person on planet Earth in the media that covers the IFL. So that's kind of strange. Anyway, 4 months go by. I saw him at a shindig on Sunday night, and I shook his hand and said, hey, so, Batsal, I got kicked out of the IFL group. What happened there? And Batsal said he didn't know. He's not in charge of the IFL Facebook group. I said, okay, well, you defriended me. Are you in charge of your own friend group, your page? He said, I don't know. He said, it was a long time ago. I said, it was 4 months ago. It's not a long time ago. He said, I don't know. I said, I emailed you. You didn't email me back. What happened there? He said, I don't know. Very good. Well, here's what I do know. Maybe you don't know, Commissioner. But the Sabres, the team Adia Kami was on, are still not in the league. They left the league last season. They were mad about Michael Friedman's decision to keep the Sabres from going to the postseason, and they're not back in the league. That's not good. When a commissioner starts the season, he should have as many teams as when he finishes the season as when he starts the season. If he has less teams, it's a problem, especially when each team pays $5,000 approximately for sponsorship and you need the money. And the Sabres are also 3-time champions. It's not a team you want to kick off the league. So I want to know what the hell happened. I want to know why the Sabres aren't in the league. I want to know things like certain players that get injured and the insurance is supposed to cover their rehab and it doesn't, and they have to pay out of pocket. I want to know why Adia Kami was not funded for his legal expenses because he had to pay for a lawyer out of pocket. These are things I want to know. Now, Michael Friedman will be emailed this very show, and he is welcome to come on next week. I'll give him the whole hour if he wants. He can explain his side, because, again, I could be wrong. But I have a funny feeling, again, call me crazy, he might not respond to my email. So I will get someone else in place of him to explain to me what the hell happened, because this show is not a propaganda show. And people might say that I wasn't nice with the Idea Comedy segment. You look at iTunes, you look at this particular website, the archive shows. I've done about 30 episodes where I've had at least one IFL player. Those were all positive segments. I covered the IFL for 5 years. 95% has been positive. But when something bad happens like this scandal, I'm not going to be quiet about it. I'm going to tell the truth. So I want to know what happened. We're going to talk about it. Whether Betzalel wants to be a part of that, he's welcome to. If he does not want to be a part of it, that's fine. I have a lot of insiders in Lingo. We're going to figure out what the hell happened. So again, Betzalel email this particular show, and we'll see if he comes on next week. He is invited to. On that note, let's take a musical break. More Lewis Live with deep voice Brian Hoffman after this. All right, back here on Lewis Live. That's a little Foo Fighters action there for you. Again, this is Lewis Live on TLV1. You can check us out on Twitter at TLV1.fm and email me longliveLewisLive@gmail.com. On the line right now, long-awaited time since he's been on. Again, that's my fault. Did that with Cub, also did that with Deep Voice. Back on Lewis Live, it's Deep Voice Brian Hoffman. What up, Deep Voice?
Ari, is this what happens when I make fun of your cat?
Yes.
Is, you wait till the Ravens are like at their worst point of the season before you call me. You know what I'm saying?
I told you if you insulted Don Morris, bad things would happen to the Ravens.
The Cardinals also lost in the NLCS, so I feel a little retribution there.
Oh, okay. You mean the Cardinals got to the NLCS, and they've won more World Series titles by, I don't know, 9 or 10 than the Baltimore Orioles. But outside of that, yeah.
True, but I don't go by history. What have you done for me lately?
Oh, you don't go by history, you're right, when it's convenient for you with Baltimore Orioles. You probably go by history by the Ravens. But okay, anyway.
It is so fun to talk trash with you again on the radio. And by the way, it's such a pleasure to talk about, I love how everything TLV1 is, related to Israel, but you got to get in a little segment on just the NFL,
Yeah, it's the most popular sport in the United States and one of the most popular in the world. And also, the Cardinals have a power ranking of 2, and they're ahead of the NFC West. Now, you know football. Why is that? Even I don't know why that is. I'm a huge
credit to where credit is due. I've been talking a lot about the Cardinals in recent years, haven't I?
Yeah, you said that they're kind of a dark horse sleeper team, and now they're starting to come to fruition.
And I said that in the NFC West, which I'm very impressed with that division right now, certainly in my opinion on top of the AFC North. I call it as it is, and if I think the Ravens are a certain quality and our division as a whole is at a certain quality, I'm going to call it out. I don't have Pittsburgh that good in my book right now. I think Ben Roethlisberger will not have 6 touchdowns unless he's going up against a pass defense that doesn't exist, which was the case last night. And the team he played last week is a very young Indianapolis defense. I want to see him go up against a legit playoff team. Have him go up against the Patriots, Broncos. Let's see what Roethlisberger does in that situation.
All right, I want to talk about
your Arizona Cardinals.
Yes.
Have him go up against Arizona, and Big Ben will be eating grass all day long.
I still feel like Big Ben is on his way out. I don't know how he's able to even maintain what he's done at this point, but I'm curious with
I think it's a fluke. I think it's a fluke statistical record. It doesn't mean anything. The guy's pretty much done.
I thought he was done for years. Yeah, I thought he was done for years. Obviously, those the motorcycle incident where he almost died didn't help him.
Unfortunately, Ari, Carson Palmer's in the same boat, and that's what I was going to say about Arizona. A lot of the success, I think, you got to tip your hat. I mean, he's not been healthy, so you got to ask yourself, okay, Arizona's great right now, but who's the backup? In my opinion, the X factor right now for the Arizona Cardinals is Drew Stanton, the backup from Detroit.
Who?
Because when he stepped in for Carson Palmer, they were still winning games.
All right, well, that makes me comfortable, but I think the Cardinals, if they're going to go anywhere in the playoffs, it's up to Patrick Peterson, that defense, more than...
The defense is tremendous. Yeah. That was never a question. Peterson, obviously, there's word out of New England that Revis is coming back, but, Peterson there is, probably the best, secondary, as far as a corner goes right now. The Ravens are without their top corner, Jimmy Smith, and it affected completely the defense. We looked good in the beginning of the game. Our front seven is solid. We sacked Big Ben. The Ravens did 3 straight times. But at the end of the day, he was like just throwing pass after pass, catch after catch in our secondary, which was, again, Jimmy Smith was the injury there. He had been playing a Pro Bowl caliber corner, and he's out. The Ravens already had issues behind him. You got Ladarius Webb making over $12.5 million a year, who's just like a very small part of what he used to be, which was an all-pro, and then a bunch of other misfits. I'm surprised the Ravens didn't try to make a deal.
Yeah, try to get one of the misfits.
Deadline.
All right, now the Ravens, it's been discussed in this program and the whole world. Ray Rice gone. How much has he affected your ball club? I mean, we see a record of 5-4. If Ray Rice had not punched his girlfriend, now wife, in the face and got it caught on camera and would play with the Ravens still, where would you guys be at?
Fortunately, Ari, that has not been an issue. The only issue there has been of the mental variety in the clubhouse, because Justin Forsett, a guy that I actually liked as a backup in Seattle many years, Marshawn Lynch went out a couple years ago. He came in there for a few games and did well. I remember his fantasy stats. I was actually looking forward to see what Forsett can do. He stepped in wonderfully, catches the ball. He runs the ball very well. He's no Arian Foster or anything like that. He's no Andre Ellington, right? Who's amazing. But Forsett stepped in there, and he's played a very solid. He's a top third of the league running back. And the other running back, who unfortunately had a fumble yesterday, but everybody doesn't do well on offense in Pittsburgh sometimes. But Talia Farrow is the backup. Bernard Pierce been relatively injured this season. Talia Farrow is the backup, and he is usually the goal line back.
All right, Deep Voice, here's the thing. Deep Voice, you're giving a lot of great information. I want to go to the soap opera stuff. Russell Wilson, there was a story came out a week ago. He was not black enough. That's what some of the players said in the clubhouse, and we see that the Seahawks are struggling. I'm curious how much that affects Russell Wilson. Charles Barkley came out with a comment. I mean, I think the thing is stupid. Russell Wilson is black. I mean, his skin is black, and the fact that people say he's not black enough because he's well-spoken is really stupid. I want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, the whole thing there with these are two teams right now, Seattle and San Francisco. People had at the top of that division, and it's not like that right now. They're dealing with a lot of problems in-house. Just like you just said, Ray Rice. How much has that affected the club? In Baltimore, it's not a problem. What is a problem in Seattle and in San Francisco, there's a lot of stuff going on with Jim Harbaugh. Is he going to go coach for University of Michigan?
Right. He's Michigan alum, yeah.
Yeah, and basically in Seattle, you had the whole Percy Harvin incident where, Percy's getting in fights with players, but, Russell Wilson's not happy. He lost his best receiver. You got a guy.
But hold on, but Percy Harvin called out Russell Wilson, right? Didn't he say that he was not black enough? Wouldn't Russell Wilson be happy that Harvin is not there if he said those things?
Well, did Harvey mention that after Harvin mentioned that before the trade took place?
It sounded like he was saying that secretly in the locker room, and then after the trade that story came out. It sounded like there was friction.
This was the kind of stuff I would say here. I'm certain that this was a problem. Percy, you have the general management, the coaches of the team, some of the people that you'd actually respect, their quotes, unlike some of these, crazy websites and stuff. People, the top brass, if you will, was saying that the problem was Percy Harvin. He was causing a lot of problems in the locker room, almost like similar to a Terrell Owens,
right. Well, look, that's the whole thing. They brought up McNabb and Terrell Owens. McNabb, the company guy, as Russell Wilson is, and then some of the teammates were saying, oh, he's a sellout, and he's not one of us, etc. Donovan McNabb, also very well-educated, spoken. And that stuff is stupid. I can't stand it.
Donovan McNabb, who threw up in his helmet there at the end of the Super Bowl.
Because he was partying during Super Bowl week. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, everybody wants to bash on Flacco, by the way. Look how bad it got to be for Eagles fans.
Yeah, I would say that. Last thing I want to say, Deep Voice, before we let you go, going back to Big Ben, this thought came to my mind during the segment. He was struggling for a while. Now he's back. I think the guy, the guy's problem might be he hasn't been arrested in a while. I think that threw off his rhythm because he was arrested a couple of times.
A motorcycle accident.
He had a motorcycle accident and 2 arrests for sexual assault, which I guess is a coincidence.
Right. Imagine if you had a video of that, by the way, that came up on YouTube.
That would not be good.
This is where Ray Rice gets the tough treatment because he's the one that just so happened to have the video. Imagine if you had a video in the college girls bar over there where Big Ben went to in the back of a bathroom.
Allegedly.
Imagine the video of that. I don't think he would have thrown 12 touchdowns the last 2 weeks.
No, he probably would have not, and that's a sad thing because what Ben, I mean, everybody thinks Big Ben did, especially the prosecutor of the case. That's why they want to charge him. Most people don't have.
By the way, real quick, Ari, not to cut you off, but
sure.
12 touchdowns in 2 weeks. Apparently, Tom Brady's done that before. You know, I call him Madam Thomas.
Yes.
But my goodness, think of that for a second. 12 touchdowns in 2 weeks.
Right.
That's pretty ridiculous, no?
Yeah, he's as a football player, he's played pretty good. As a human being, he sucks.
In the long run, I think it was a statistical fluke.
Yeah, I agree.
These things can happen. I think if Pittsburgh, especially on the road, goes up against a halfway decent team, I don't have a lot of respect for some of these teams. Certainly, no, I don't have respect for the AFC North right now, be it either Cincinnati, Cleveland, or the Ravens. And I take into consideration, by the way, real quick, just to bash on the Cowboys and the Patriots because Andy Gershman's going to love that.
Yeah.
That I watched the destruction of the Broncos last night. I'm thinking to myself, well, Manning just plays bad in the cold. And the Patriots are going to have Gronkowski injured by the end of the season. Hasta Khalila. Got to get some of the Yiddish in there. It's Israel. It's TLV1. You know what I mean?
It is. And on that note, we got to run. But congratulations to my Cardinals. And
the Cowboys. No respect for the Cowboys. I just got to fit that in for Andy.
Yeah, of course. No. Yeah, Cowboys suck.
They find a way to lose at the end of the day. I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs.
I don't think they will either. But I think we all learned the importance of respect for Don Morris. Anyways, my cat. I got to run. Thank you, Deep Voice, for being on Lewis Live here on TLV1. Enjoy the next weeks to come in the NFL. Okay, we'll take a break. On the other side, from Israel Baseball, the national director of IBA, Nate Fish, talking about a kick-ass academy. This is Lewis Live on TLV1. All right, back here on Lewis Live, on the line right now. I'm just all nervous, so I'm stuttering. There's real treats in this business, and one of the treats is going to be with us right now in this segment, the king of Jewish baseball, Nate Fish. Nate, welcome back to the show.
Yo!
Now, in the past, we've done a segment where you were actually playing baseball, and we've done a segment where you were at a fundraiser. Where are you right now so the fans can know?
I'm at home.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. It's kind of boring. All right,
not that interesting.
Yeah, it's not that interesting.
I was supposed to be at a junior league game, but it got rained out.
Okay.
It's a funny profession as a baseball coach. You don't have to work when it rains.
Yeah, that's cool. It's not like being in the mail business or anything like that.
No.
Now, you guys have gotten a lot of props, excuse the slang, for the youngsters about the baseball academy. It's Israel's first ever baseball academy. Tell us a bit about it.
Yes. Israel Baseball Academy. We launched the academy 2 weeks ago. This is the first time we've ever had a baseball academy. And what that really means is it's just a training program where we communicate with people from Major League Baseball. They provide the program. We select the players. We run them through the program. We fill out their progress reports. We get all of that information back to the Major League guys, from the scouting bureau. And so it sort of puts our players on their radar a little bit, and it allows our players to participate in Major League camps in Europe and hopefully get some attention of scouts and college coaches to get some opportunities to go play. So it's the first time we've had access to these programs that are for European academies that are provided by Major League Baseball.
All right, Nate, that is a fantastic idea. I want to know who came up with that brilliant genius idea. Was it you?
I think they've wanted to do it for a long time.
Always being humble. Look at that. The humility.
Always. I'm trying to give credit to everyone else because everyone is working really hard.
Okay.
But they wanted to do it for a long time. It's not necessarily an easy thing to do. You need someone that can really devote themselves to it. So I went to Italy this summer for the MLB camp there and met a bunch of the people that are in charge of the academies, a bunch of people from Major League Baseball, and they sort of explained how to do it, and they sort of put me in touch with the right people. And so when I came back, we got set up, and we went through the selection process for all the players, and We just got rolling a couple weeks ago. Our first reports are due in mid-November.
All right, now I'm curious, not to sound like a layman, but with baseball at the end of the day, is about fundamentals and about doing the little things very well. So with a camp, are you just going that over and just drilling that into them, how to field pop-ups, how to field grounders, how to hit, how to bunt, how to steal? Is it just kind of over and over and over, or are you teaching them special new things that they might not get somewhere else at this academy?
Both. I mean, everyone in the world is doing the same things at a baseball practice. Right. Everyone's playing catch. Everyone's taking ground balls. Everyone's taking fly balls. Everyone's taking batting practice. So you're right. Some of it's just about how well you're doing these things. It's not really, there's no magical piece of information I can give the kids. But there's a lot of details they still need to learn. And just little things, making little adjustments every time we're on the field and getting them lots of repetitions. So that's really what it's all about. But baseball also, you can understand it by numbers. So when we fill out these reports for Major League Baseball, they can get a pretty good sense of a kid by looking at his height, his 60 time, his grip strength, all these different categories that they have to sort of, these measurables, I think is the word that they use. So they can get a pretty good sense looking at a kid's measurables at what kind of a player he is, even more than in any other sport. You can look at numbers and understand the player.
Again, we're speaking with the King of Jewish Baseball, Israel Association of Baseball head man of the national director position, Nate Fish. Now, Nate, the scouting world was turned upside down about 15 years ago with the book Moneyball. Of course, they made that movie with the pretty Brad Pitt. And I want to know if you're into sabermetrics. Do you look at a kid, maybe he doesn't have a good fast time of runs a fast 40, but as Billy Beane always said, we're not here to sell jeans. Doesn't matter if someone's fat. If they can walk, they get on base, we want them. Are you into sabermetrics?
I don't discredit sabermetrics at all. They're really valuable, right? So for the guys in the front office, they're really valuable. I'm a little bit more old school. I like the human element inside of the game. I want to see what a guy can do in certain situations, how well he knows the game, stuff like that. And there's some crossover. If you look at someone's numbers and their numbers are really good, they usually understand the game pretty well. So there's some crossover there. But I'm much more old school. I don't sit down and break it down by the numbers. I think for baseball coaches who are actually on the field, physically working with the kids, it's more about going through running practices the right way, making sure everyone's doing things the right way. And then at the end of the day, people that are making decisions about who's getting drafted and who's getting a contract and who's getting paid what, those are the sabermetrics guys. They're kind of two different functions, I think, for baseball organizations.
In other words, you're calling Billy Beane an idiot on my show. We can print that, right? Trying to get a soundbite. That's all I'm trying to do. Just my job. Okay. No, everyone, there's different schools of thought. I mean, there's irony in it. Joe Morgan is really against sabermetrics as a belief system, but he was a great sabermetrics player. So there's a lot to be said about it, and there's still debate in the air. Now, last question for you. I want to talk about Noam Kalisar because he was in a very special camp, MLB prospect type of camp. You can tell us a little bit about it. We covered the story a few months ago. I know that he then suffered an injury. I want to know where he's at right now and his prospects moving forward in the future.
Noam's back. He's healthy. He hurt his shoulder this summer and was not able to participate with the national team in our tournament. We had hoped to have him, but he's good. He's back. He's going full speed, and he's healthy. The camp that he qualified for last summer was Major League Baseball's mini camp in Holland, which is so the top 40 players in Europe were at the camp that I went to in Italy. And that group of between 40 and 80 were at that camp in Holland. So he was very close to being in that top 40 prospects in Europe. He's still only 16 years old. He'll go back to the tryouts again this year. And I hope he's able to make it into the elite camp, which is the top 40 players. Out of the shortstops that were there at the camp, he would have fit in pretty well. He would have been the youngest one there, so I think he's got a good shot this year.
Peter Kurz has a dream of having an Israeli in the major leagues, and Noam could be the front of the list right now, not to put pressure on the kid, but obviously if he's in a major league camp and get invited to one, he's doing something right. And also speaking of doing something right, that'd be Nate Fish, taking Israel baseball to a whole other level with this camp.
That's right.
that you had nothing to do with. It was everyone else's idea. You just were there, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It was just good timing.
Good timing, yeah. Wink, wink. We'll give you.
That's right.
Yeah, sure, no problem. All right, Nate, congratulations on the camp. Sounds like things are going in the right direction. You still have the website, King of Jewish Baseball, people can check out?
Yeah, go to kingofjewishbaseball.com. I just uploaded pictures of all 11 Academy players actually this afternoon. So if you guys want to get to know the players a little bit better and see some photographs, they're all on the website.
You go to kingofjewishbaseball.com. Also type in Israel Baseball Association on Facebook to find out more information. Nate Fish, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. All right, we're going to take a quick break. On the other side, talking about the Tel Aviv night run, I24's Mike Friedman. This is Lewis Live on TLV1. All right, back here on Lewis Live. As you know, the Tel Aviv night run occurred in the city of Tel Aviv. Tell us about that is I24's sports reporter Mike Friedman. Mike, welcome back to the program.
Hi, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, doing fantastic. Now, this was a pretty successful run. You had about 25,000 runners in it. I'm curious the type of competition or the type of running talent that's in this race. How does it compare to some of the races around the world?
Well, I'll tell you, this race brought people from all different levels, people who, are training every day to the average runner. But what was also really unique about this run was the IDF Chief of Staff, Benny Gantz, was actually there running through it.
Wow.
So you were able to see people of all ages, of all levels, and it was just a special night for everyone to come together and run in the streets of Tel Aviv, which, it's nice when all the streets were closed off, so the traffic wasn't too good for the drivers, but the runners itself were quite happy.
Now, Benny Gantz, I believe he's in his 60s. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's a bit older of a gentleman, so for him to be running it is it's pretty impressive.
And he had some type of back injury, I think, in the latest war of the summer. So for him getting out there, that's pretty good. Now, let's talk about the sad part of it. There were injuries that Magen David Adom had to come out and check. About 55 people suffered from dehydration, major injuries. I want to know, you're the guy on the inside about this. Is that the city's fault? Is it the runners not properly drinking enough water, take care of themselves? I mean, this is a question that comes up. We've seen lawsuits in the past, so give us your thoughts about it.
Yeah, it is a problem. This, as you said, there were about 55 people who were treated from different, some were suffering from just minor injuries and some had worse dehydration. We also saw this in the last spring with the Gillette Marathon. There were a lot of people who dehydrated. There was actually someone who collapsed and died. So it is a concern. It's something that Tel Aviv, the municipality, will need to address and to be more cautious, whether that means there has to be more stations along the roads that have water for the participants, because the number one thing that matters and concern is the participants' health.
Now, what's also, I thought, really interesting about this race was you had a mix. We talk about different ages, but you're talking about different people, different backgrounds. The first place winner is a man named Noam Naman. Second place winner was a man named Razi Abdul-Jabbar. So you're having people of different backgrounds. Tell us a bit how unique that is, because in the other races of the world, sometimes you see a certain type of race kind of at the top. You see a lot of Ethiopians, for example, usually finish first because they're training in that race the whole year. So I want to know, how unique is it that you see an Israeli first place and then you have an Arab finish second place, that type of thing? How different is that with the race?
Well, I think this is something that's truly special about Tel Aviv and Israel. You have people of all different backgrounds. You have Russians, Americans, French, Israelis, Arab Israelis, everybody coming together and running as one. So, this city, it's so diverse and there's all different backgrounds. So it is something that is unique, particularly for Tel Aviv and particularly for this race.
All right, now, what's great about having you on, in addition to your knowledge of the race as a reporter, you have ran this race yourself. So I'm curious what that's like, because people think, it's not so hard, it's in the nighttime. Tel Aviv is a very humid place for those who don't live in the city. Even in the nighttime, it's not going to be simple, and it is a race, and it's a long run. So tell us from personal experience what the race was like for you when you ran it.
For me, it was something special. it was my first time ever running a 10K, and especially running in the streets at night was something totally different. I felt that the vibe, the mood, the feelings around was the best part of it. I've ran after I did the night run. I've also done the Gillette, and that's in the day. And it's a good run, but there's something special about running at night with everyone having glowing shirts. It's in groups of 25,000. I mean, there's nothing I could have imagined before running that.
So you would recommend, if people haven't done it before, to do it at least once? Because I've done the Jerusalem one, the 10K. That was very nice. It was during the day. You see the beautiful city. Never done a night run. Would you recommend for people to do night runs?
Absolutely. I would recommend to anyone listening to go out there next year and go and run. And you don't have to be the top runner, going in 30 minutes like Noam Naaman did, but you can go for fun and run it in the best time you can, and then look to improve. But it's definitely something that anybody and everybody can do. And anyone who wants to do it, again, make sure you drink plenty of water, you prepare yourself. Just don't think it's easy because it's the nighttime. Everyone's got to be cautious. Mike, we got to run. We appreciate your time, giving us the expertise as a reporter and a runner. Check out Mike on I24. Mike Friedman, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right. All right, folks, that's the end of our show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Of course, thank you to our guest. We began the program with Westwood One Radio and USA Radio News Cub Buenning, talking about where Madison Bumgarner ranks all time among postseason pitchers and where the World Series itself ranks in terms of this year's Fall Classic. Then comedian Jeremy Feldhammer, the event, the Jerusalem Festivus Comedy Festival, which I happen to be in for some reason, December 25th. Check us out on Facebook. Check him out on Facebook, Nail and Hammer Entertainment. Ellie Roda, Petah Tikva, Maccbi Petah Tikva, PA announcer, talking about the falling, perhaps, of the crown of FC Barcelona to home losses in the last 4.5 years. And then after my interview, my thoughts on Michael Friedman, commissioner of the IFL. D-Voice Brian Hoffman giving us a breakdown of the NFL, saying why my Cardinals are at the top of the power rankings while his Ravens are struggling a bit. Nate Fish, the national director of Israel Baseball, talking about the academy that just began and Noam McAllister's chances of making it pro. And we ended the program with i24's Mike Friedman telling us about the night run in Tel Aviv, both as a runner and as a reporter. Stay tuned for a lot of great programming, a lot of great stuff. But that's it for tonight. God bless and good night.